What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going over my DraftKings Fanduel and Prizepicks MLB plays for today, July 25th. Let's go ahead and get started. As always, if you enjoy the videos, appreciate it for the like button, subscribe if you have not already. Also, if you do not follow me on Twitter, I am giving away a couple of NFL passes for free out. The winners will be randomly selected tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So all you have to do is just like and retweet the tweet if you want a chance to get the whole NFL season plus playoffs for free. If you don't win that, you can still get it for very cheap. I like to keep everything super affordable because if anybody wants to get in, they can. It's my 5th year providing for NFL. We've been good each of the last 4 years, expecting nothing different this year. So going over today for the 11-game slate, we could have some weather issues here in the Northeast, but I'm assuming they all play not high percentages of precipitation right now for the Philly game, for the Boston game, but there are some chances of thunderstorms. But on DraftKings, first game up is the Phillies and the Braves. Phillies coming out of the break, getting swept by the Cubs. Not the way you want to start the second half of the season for a team looking for that third wild card, and that was not expected at all. But now they're getting a tough matchup against the Braves. We'll see what kind of fight they have left after getting swept by the Cubs. Looking at some of the Braves hitters today, like Riley, Acuna, those would be the guys against Suarez, but he sometimes can be really good as well. There's some other teams I'm looking at getting more bats from, but definitely not looking to attack the Phillies at all. Maybe Vierling if he's batting leadoff as a one-off play. The Rays and Orioles. On the Rays side, they got Brendan Lowe back, Rose Reyna's back, so they are starting to have a much better lineup. A couple days ago, their lineup was super, very limited and very ugly, but they did end up scoring some runs. Today against Voth, those guys would be two pieces to consider. G-Man Choi as a cheap first base option. But once again, the Rays have not been a team that I've been looking to get a lot of my bats from for good reason. And then on the Orioles side, I do like Mullins as a value, maybe Mancini as a value, and Mountcastle could be a nice mini stack here, but those would be for like tournament plays. We got the wind blowing out in Boston, 4.9 totals for both sides of this game. On the Guardian side, Kwan, Naylor look like good value picks. At the bottom, you can maybe consider Nolan Jones. And the Red Sox side, Bogarts is up to 5K, but he still looks like a good shortstop option. Other picks would be like Verdugo and Bobby Dahlbeck, and just some value picks. I know Duran's been really dreadful recently, and Cordero's also been really dreadful, but they are very affordable if you wanted to take a shots on them in tournaments. We have Sean Manaea against Drew Hutchinson. Padres look fine today. Like Manaea as a pitcher, even though the wind is blowing out a little bit in Detroit. The Tigers just do not have a scary offense by any means. On the Padres side, like Mazara is only 26 if he's batting in the cleanup spot. That looks decent. Hosmer's having a terrible season, but he's only $2,500 if you need a cheap first base option. Other than that, I'm not going crazy with the Padres side. The Cubs and Pirates. On the Cubs side, like Happ, Suzuki look like fine options, but I'm not looking to go crazy with the Cubs. Wind blowing in a little bit in Wrigley Field. And I have no interest in the Pirates offense at all without their best hitter. We have the Angels and the Royals. Wind blowing out big time in Kansas City. Still have some good values on the Royals, like Dozier's only 31, Pascatino 24. Merrifield's been good recently. He's only 4K. And Prado's only 23. One of their better prospects. And then on the Angels side, against Greinke, the lineup just doesn't look it does not look threatening without Trout and Rendon. But I would maybe look to like Ward as a value at 39. Adele is very cheap, and Walsh is super cheap as well at 27. Those would be some guys you can consider because at least we know they have some upsides like home run wise. Like the Brewers a little bit today, the right-handed power bats like Mike Brasso is only $2,500. Renfroe's been great recently. Home runs in 3 straight games. Definitely can count on him today. And not looking at Yelich, but like maybe McCutchen. On the Astros side, going up against the Oakland A's in Oakland, but the wind is blowing out, so that would help a little bit. But if Alvarez is in the lineup, he looks fine at 63, even though he's super expensive. Wanted to go with some cheaper bats like Pena, Kyle Tucker. They'll look a little bit better, and Bregman. We have Gilbert against Junis here. I do not think that this Giants lineup will be what they run out. Usually they have Slater batting leadoff against a lefty, and they have like Ruff in there, so it's probably not updated yet. But I do like Slater at his price tag on DraftKings, assuming he's going to be in there against a lefty, which he always is. He's a platoon guy for a reason. And then on the Giants side, other options would be like Flores. He's always good against lefties. On the Diamondback side, you got a good price tag on Alec Thomas, 3K, good price tag on Peralta at 28. Those would be two options to consider. Mariners, Rangers, don't have much interest in the Rangers bats. Mariners have a little bit of interest in like Winker and France, and then maybe Kyle Lewis if he's in there at $2,800. And then the best team of the day to stack, not a lot of great stacking options today, but the Dodgers would be that. Freeman's on an absolute tear, batting well over 500 in his last 10 games with showing a lot of power. So Freeman's my favorite pick. Lux is cheap at 35. Lamb is also very cheap at 22. He was batting cleanup yesterday, our fifth. And then always Mookie Betts in any sort of stack. And then Gonsolin is another good pitching option today. Going back over to DraftKings, pitching isn't super strong today. So give me Gonsolin and give me Sean Manaea to get me started today. Gonsolin's been really good for the Dodgers all season, barely over a 2-run ERA. He's starting to go over 90 pitches consistently, and we even saw him go over 7 innings against the Cubs and against the Padres earlier. At home, he has a 1.13 ERA with okay strikeout stuff, but we're not even looking for a lot of strikeouts against the Nats anyway, just looking to go deep into the game, get the quality start, get the win, which he has done in most of his starts. And then Sean Manaea on the other side against the Tigers looks like a good spot to continue his solid season. He still has a pretty high ERA because he did get blown up against Seattle recently, and then early on in the season he got blown up against the Dodgers. But he is good with the strikeouts, right around 1 strikeout per inning, and don't have much of anything of fear with the Tigers bats. And for what it's worth, he is better on the road, even though it's not the best matchup with the wind blowing out a little bit. But we know that it's still a good ballpark to pitch in for the most part. So first base, give me Freddie Freeman to get us started. He's $6,200, but he's going to be the best first base option to pay up for today with the way that he's been swinging the bat. 579, 5 home runs in his last 10 games with only 1 strikeout in 38 at-bats. I mean, if that's not seeing the ball well, I don't know what is. Making great contact, multiple hits, and finally he's not even much of a strikeout hitter by any means, but the fact that he's only struck out once in his last 38 at-bats really shows something. So, love Freeman. Don't have to say much about that. And then the second guy would also be Gavin Lux to pair with him. Just with the value at 35, you can play him at second base or in the outfield. And he's also been good recently, 259 with a little bit of speed, 5 stolen bases on the season for him. Back-to-back double-digit fantasy scores, and another lefty-righty matchup which favors him, just like Freddie Freeman. In the outfield, I like Hunter Renfroe. He's not that expensive at $4,100. He has been really good recently with home runs in 3 straight games and 6 hits in his last 3. And Freeland is a guy that can give up some power. At home, Renfroe's done a lot of damage, 324. He's also done a lot of damage against the Rockies. But love the fact that he's crushing it at home. Swing the bat really well recently. And also for him, the strikeouts are still there. But against lefties is where he does a lot of damage. And then also looking at Austin Slater. They have Kelly here, but MLB.com and Fantasy Labs, they both have Tyler Gilbert, and even Prizepicks does, so that's what I'm assuming, unless something changes. But if we can get Slater batting leadoff today against Tyler Gilbert, I like that a lot. He's always good against lefties. This year against lefties, batting .313 with 3 home runs and 96 at-bats. He's just a platoon hitter. He has a pretty decent 177 ISO against lefties this year, and Gilbert just doesn't strike anybody out, so that's something that can be concerning with Slater with a pretty high strikeout rate, but that's something that Gilbert just doesn't do, so don't have to worry about that too much. Those are the 6 guys I like to get us started on DraftKings today. Over on FanDuel, pretty similar, going Gonsolin as my pitcher, Freeman just as a pay up. Pena is really cheap for the Astros, 29, you're getting a great value as shortstop there. And then I wanted to stick with Renfroe at 34. I think he has a chance to add to that home run streak. And then I went Slater again because assuming he's in there, he's only $2,500. Great value today. Not a ton of great stacking options besides the Dodgers. So kind of doing a little bit of mixing and matching with the rest of the picks. So that's it for DK and FanDuel. Let's go over to Prizepicks. So over on Prizepicks, there's not a lot of strikeout over props I'm looking at. There's one strikeout under prop that I do like, and I think that this one is going to get bumped down to 3.5 pretty soon. Tyler Gilbert under 3.5 strikeouts. I do like this one quite a bit. He's only hit the over 3.5 strikeouts once this season, and if you go back to last year as well, he's only had over 4 strikeouts or at least 4 strikeouts in 25% of his starts, and that is going back to 25 starts or 20 starts. He has 5 games of 3.5 or 4 or more strikeouts. So don't see that happening against the Giants, especially if they put in some of their righty bats like Ruff and Slater and those guys. Gilbert just doesn't strike people out. So give me the under 3.5 strikeouts for really good odds. Some over fantasy props I like for pitcher. It's going to be the couple of pitchers that I plugged in over on DraftKings. Not a great slate for pitching, but like Gonsolin over 37.5. If he's able to get the win and the quality start, that's almost over a quarter of his fantasy points right there, and he's just going to have to go like 6 or 7 innings and maybe get a couple strikeouts against the Nats, and won't have much of an issue of him hitting the over 37.5. And I like Sean Manaea as well. Padres favored pretty heavily today. He's going up against Hutchinson, who's not been good this year, and a good matchup. Get some strikeouts against the Tigers, work deep into the game a bit. Another good chance of getting the quality start and possibly the win as well. If those guys both can get the win, they won't have to really sweat, I would think, their fantasy scores, unless they get blown up, which hopefully doesn't happen. And then one hitter over prop is definitely Freddie Freeman. I mean, you can't go wrong with his fantasy score or his total bases. I'm taking his over total bases right now. He's just locked in. 570 batting average, 1 strikeout in 38 in his last 38 at-bats with 5 bombs. I mean, good chance to do some damage against the Nats today. They have the highest total. Won't have to worry. I think he's going to be a staple in a lot of people's lineup. And then last guy, if he's in the lineup, I know he's left the game. He's day-to-day, but I do like Alvarez over 1.5 bases. But those are the 4 I like right now. I don't know why they don't have the first inning props. Maybe they're getting burned off the Nerfy, so they kind of took it off the board right now until they do some more research on that. But we'll see if any Nerfy looks appealing, which looking at the slate in terms of Nerfies, possibly the Oakland game, but a little bit concerning there. Maybe the Mariners will be one to consider. That'll probably be one over the Oakland one. But that's about it for the Prizepicks plays. We'll see if they do have Alvarez in there. He would be the 5th option. Otherwise, you can run these 4 under 3.5 strikeouts. Tyler Gilbert over 37.5 fantasy. Tony Gonsolin over 38.5 fantasy. Sean Manaea and over 1.5 bases for Freeman. Best of luck today, and I will see you all next time.